Hello and welcome to one of my videos. Today's video is actually going to be much different. Hopefully you can tell from the title is I am labeling this as my first podcast episode. Now, if you watched my most recent video that I posted very recently here of how to make your own sweater patterns or how to make a sweater without a pattern, you will have heard at the end, if you watch all the way through, that I have been considering for a while starting a podcast series, I guess is what it would be, because I do feel like with a lot of my projects that sometimes I have too many ideas and not enough time, and it's really hard to have like a cohesive video. And I kind of decided, you know, a lot of crafting accounts that I enjoy watching are accounts that post in podcast episodes where they talk about what they're working on, things they've finished, plans they have for the future and things like that that sound really fun and interesting. But I just didn't know if like that was the right thing for me. But you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it because that's just kind of what's in my capacity right now. I wanted to make this channel as a way of kind of sharing what craft things that I did and sharing inspiration and creativity, because that's where I get a lot of my inspiration, is seeing other people online or people that I know that challenge me to kind of think outside the box or show me totally different ideas that I had never considered before. So I still want to be able to do that, and I don't want to just stop posting altogether or post like 2 videos a year because it takes me forever to get through some of these projects. So I thought maybe this would be a better alternative. I still plan on posting regular, more cohesive, specific videos, but just right now I have so much going on, especially with like holidays coming up. I'm doing so many gift knitting or things that are really specific to the holidays that I just don't have time to video it. So doing this kind of podcast format really makes sense for that kind of situation. Now, I cannot and I will not promise to be as consistent as some podcasters on YouTube. I know that a lot of people that I watch post a podcast religiously, like every single week on the same day. And that is fantastic. And I like applaud what they're able to do there. And that is just not happening for me. A big issue is that I work a full-time job and this is something I do in my free time. So I will do them when I feel like I have stuff worth sharing. And that's about the extent of it. So I will say right off the bat, I know a lot of my content in the past is sewing. This video is 100% knitting. I live in the Midwest and it's been very chilly lately. We are definitely getting into the fall months. When I left for work this morning, it was 27 degrees Fahrenheit. So I have been knitting a lot because I just want cozy stuff. I wanted to make cozy things. So that's all I'm going to be talking about. The first thing I'm going to start with is my most recent finished object, which I'm really excited about. This hat is the last thing I finished. This one, please don't expect this because I don't use patterns. I actually used a pattern for this. Shocker. I actually did it as a test knit. I've never done one of those before. If you don't knit, essentially a test knit is where someone who designs patterns has finished their pattern, but they want to make sure it works in like a lot of different sizes. So usually they'll use like Instagram as a outlet and they'll post like, I need people to test knit this in different sizes and make sure like it works essentially. And I'd never done so before. I was kind of nervous. I've like applied for a couple, but they're always sweaters, and after I apply I'm always like, should I have done that? It's such a strict deadline. So I thought like this was a really good starting point. So I actually have a pattern that I can tell you. This is called the Coffee Beanie by Honeysuckle Knits. I just remembered it all, and it's fantastic and comfortable. It's a double fold brim, so like it's very long, but it is so cozy. You can either do it with one strand of sock yarn and one strand of lace yarn held together, which is what I did, or you can do one strand of DK just held single. But you can kind of see I have like an undyed alpaca, Surrey alpaca that I held with one strand of it's like a, how do I explain this? It's a sock yarn sorry, I shouldn't say, it's not a sock yarn. It's a fingering weight yarn, and it's a single strand, so it's like kind of extra poofy. And I thought it would look really cute with this, and I actually dyed it myself. And here it is. I have a second skein of it I can show you. It's like a really neon green, and I feel like it was kind of brighter than I wanted it to be, but I feel like with that white, it kind of tones it down. And it is so fuzzy and cozy and comfy. I love it. It really didn't take me that long to make either. It's just like all 1x1 rib knit, and then obviously like decreases for the crown, but it is super comfy, super cozy, and I have already worn it a ton. Like literally any day it's been under like 40 degrees, I am leaving the house with this hat because I love it. So that is my most recent finished object, which leads me to my work in progress items. I don't have any more finished products. I do, however, have a lot of work in progress items. I was going to show you how this fits because it's really nice. Like, oh, look at that shaping. Beautiful. I love it. It's so comfy in this like big brim. I love it. Love it. So that's the most recent thing I finished, and I actually loved it so much that I was kind of wanting to make another one. I just wasn't sure with what or for who, and I have a friend that I feel like would really appreciate a handmade gift, and I was like, oh my gosh, they should get a hat. They should get a hat. So the next thing that I have that I'm working on is the same pattern, the coffee beanie hat, and it's this guy. This is actually also yarn that I dyed myself. Last year I bought a bunch of undyed yarn from nomad.com. I have found it very helpful to have undyed yarn because I just bought like a couple colors of Rit dye and dyed it myself for stuff that I wanted. And it was really fun, and I have a couple skeins left of like undyed stuff, but I had this color. It's kind of, I think it looks more orangey than it does in real life. It's more pinky. I just think it's kind of coming off more orange. But it's kind of like a tonal, I don't know why it looks so orangey, but I think it still looks good. But I'm doing the same knit. I've actually gotten to the point where I need to make that crown shape. The pattern has a modification for just a single fold brim, and that's what I'm doing with this one. And I have 2 skeins of this. So this was something that I didn't think about when I was first dyeing yarn, because this was when I was like kind of early in my era of like hand dyed yarn, and I didn't really know what I was doing per se. And I just thought it'd be fun to test it out. They had a really good Christmas sale one year, and it was just such a good deal that I was like, this isn't really that expensive, and it's really nice. Like this that I have here, I think it's like their Marshmallow DK, and it is 100% wool. It's super soft, and like it is marshmallowy. I really, really like it. And I think it knits up fantastically, and this is the first that I've knitted with it, but so I don't really know how it wears, but just so far it feels and looks like really nice quality. But when I was dyeing, you know, I wasn't making like sweater quantities or anything like that. I was really just trying out different colors and trying to see if I could even figure out how to dye yarn. So I made 2 skeins of everything. I don't know. So that's why I have that's why I have a whole untouched skein of this green. I have like, I think 25 grams left of this first skein, but I have 2 of everything. So I just kind of use them when I have the opportunity. I felt like this was perfect. I know this person really likes pinks and oranges, and so I thought this was fantastic, but I thought, could I use the second one too and just kind of use up all of that color, because I didn't know what else I was doing for it. I was actually trying to match, I bought 2 other matching skeins off of Superglow Fiber online a few months earlier, and they're really pretty. I just didn't have anything to match it. So I was actually trying to dye a pink to match it, which I did eventually get there, but this was the try before that, so it just wasn't right. So I didn't know what to do with it. So I thought this pinky orange plus this dark green plus this light green would be really pretty together as a scarf. These 2 are also one-offs that I have. there used to be, they don't exist anymore, which is really a bummer. There used to be a store in the town that I live in that they sold like antiques and stuff. And one day the stair door was open and I was like, what's up there? And they were like, oh, you can go up, there's a shop upstairs. And so I walked up 3 flights of stairs and I got upstairs and there were some antiques. They had this whole craft section. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. They had all these random one-off skeins of yarn that she said a lot of them came from almost like a TJ Maxx situation. Like a lot of them came from other stores that kind of had them as like surplus. Like they had a lot of Hobby Lobby surplus. I had never heard of most of them. This one's Cascade, which I've heard of before, and they're really nice. This one's Plymouth yarn. It's a baby alpaca. Like you can see how fuzzy it is, but they're just random one-offs that I've had for probably a couple years that I didn't know what to do with. And I thought the greens and pinky orange would be really pretty together. So I'm going to make a matching scarf out of this, which I'm not going to start till I'm done with the hat so that I can use up this little guy before I start my next one. But that's where I'm at with that. I'm pretty excited because I love how these colors look together and I feel like they really look like this person. So I'm very excited to get this done. So that's one gift that I'm working on. I do have another gift. It's not really for anything particular. My husband's grandma has had stockings for years that, if I'm remembering the story correctly, one of her old neighbors made them for like her and her husband and then their daughter, which is my mother-in-law, when she was like a child. And then, you know, they kept in contact like for many years. And so all of their grandchildren, including like my husband and his siblings, she hand knitted stockings for all of them as well. So they all have these really cute, kind of matching, but they're all little different and like unique Christmas stockings. They're really, really cute. Like there's a Santa Claus on one of them. I'm trying to remember what all of them look like. There's a snowman on one of them. I think there might be a Christmas tree on one of them. It's been a while. It's November, so it's been like 11 months since I've seen them. But me and my other sister-in-law that both married into the family do not have one. So we have stockings, but they just don't really match. So I told my husband's grandma last year, I said, I'm gonna make you some stockings for us so that we have like a nice kind of matching set. Now, I have no pattern for these, as per usual. And I don't want to say I bit off more than I can chew. I'm not ready to admit that. I'm not totally confident in my abilities though here. I've never made socks or stockings or anything like that. I know that's like kinda an oddity. Like I feel like a lot of knitters are really into sock knitting, and I have many times been tempted to make socks, but I look at my socks and I see the holes and I see how like quickly they get worn through, and it makes me sad. I spend too much time knitting something that like no one's gonna see. I can't do it. So I haven't knit socks and I've never knit a stocking, but I was like, man, I can do it, whatever. And I sat down, I like studied the insides of these stockings, and I was really impressed because it is 100% intarsia. Like these super detailed motifs. I think I have a picture of one of them that I'll like insert here. It's all intarsia, everything. There's not even any, like I thought some of the smaller details would be like, I can't think of what there's a word for it, the specific technique, but it's where you stitch over top of your knitting, where it like mimics knit stitches. So it looks like it's been knitted. It's 100% intarsia, which I was so impressed by. If you don't knit, intarsia's like, I would say moderately challenging, but intarsia when you have more than 2 colors is so difficult and aggravating and tangly. I made a sweater earlier this year with using intarsia with 3 colors, and it was like, ugh, constantly, because they get tangled so easily, and you gotta always make sure you're twisting the yarn the right way so it's not like creating like a bad seam kind of there. Like it's difficult, and so I was highly impressed all this was intarsia. which made me a little intimidated to do this, to say the least. So I realized while editing this that I forgot to mention something. So if you notice on the snowman's face, his nose kind of looks like shiny. It's because it's actually a little plastic button that when you press it, it lights up and plays a little Christmas song. I don't know where you find that kind of thing. My best guess is that it might have been like a kit that you got like all together, because I have no idea where else you would find that kind of like very specific item. There is no way that is making it into my design. That's very far ahead of where I'm at. So I just thought it was worth mentioning because it's really cute, and it's on all the stockings, like the Santa Claus, their noses do that too. So it's worked into all the designs. So I was trying to figure out motifs, Christmas themed motifs that I could easily knit onto, or I could like knit and you could see the picture well on like a narrow stocking, and that would kind of fit in with the vibe of everybody else's. And I came up with 2 ideas, obviously. Since I was feeling a little unconfident about this, I decided I would start with my own, so that if I made a mistake, it was my own that I made a mistake on. So I'm gonna insert, this is the sketch that I made for it, but this was my general idea. They've all got the name, you know, across the top there of whoever's stocking it is, so that it's always on there, which I think is really cute and personalizes it even more. And so I was kind of trying to follow that same motif. And so I did it, I knit it flat, and I have only knit the front side of it. But I've gotten, see, okay, there's the name. I've never knit like letters before. I don't know if those ends are right. Are they supposed to look like that? I felt like any other way that I drew them, it was not clear they were an N, but I feel like they look really curvy now, and I'm not sure why. But that part I did as color work, and then it's kind of curled a little bit. But I've got my little gingerbread lady. It's gonna be a lady. And I tried to put, these are supposed to be kind of like little candies around it. I had a hard time figuring out exactly what shape would be a good circle. This did not work out, as you can probably tell. And you can even tell my tension's kind of messed up because it's like pulled in there. Most of it is intarsia though. The little candies I did as color work because it was just such a small little piece. Like there was no reason to do that intarsia. And then the whole gingerbread lady is intarsia, except for, it was like just an awkward spot underneath like the little hands and then in between the legs, because I didn't want to have to cut a separate piece of my pink yarn to like just fill in those areas. And some of it turned out better than others. Like I said, I really struggle with the circles. I know it's buttons never quite smoothed out how they're supposed to. I did actually block this just to see how it would lay, but it is still curling. So I finished knitting this flat, and I got to where like I wanted to put the heel here because it was about the length that it should have been. And I realized, how do I do this on a flat piece? So I was trying to look it up and realized you can't, from what I could find, you can't really do it on a flat piece. So my plan here is, I haven't worked on this for a couple months because I've just been kind of discouraged. My plan going forward is the back of all those has all the stockings on the back, like still have the pattern on it, but it's like the back of whatever it is. So like the Santa Claus ones, it looks like the back of his head. The snowman one, it looks like the back of the snowman. Like it's really cute. And I don't think I have any pictures of that. So I have to knit the back piece to go to be like the back of the gingerbread person, or the gingerbread lady. So I'm doing essentially the exact same thing on the back. And I don't think there's a name on the back section. And then my plan there is, you can see I left my stitches live down here. They're just on a piece of waste yarn. I'm gonna stitch them together down the sides and then just pretend I've been knitting in the round and then do the sock heel right there. That's the plan, because there's not any intarsia in the heel portion, or like in the foot portion of it. It's just like little candy details, which are relatively easy to do as color work. So that's where I'm at with this is, like I said, kind of a gift, kind of not. It was something I just kind of wanted to do because I wanted our stockings to match everybody else's. So that's where I'm at. I'm hoping, like, this really didn't take long. I'm used to knitting with fingering weight. So this was all like decay. So this felt like it went so fast. I think it took me like 2 days to do this whole piece. So that's one of my Christmas projects that is underway that I have to get done before Christmas. I'm really excited to get done before Christmas. I've had this sitting around for months. So we're gonna get back into this soon. Now, I think that's all my seasonal projects thus far. I've got things on the docket. I've got things waiting, but I've got a lot of projects started right now, so I'm really trying to get some things finished up. So if you watched my last video about, you know, how I make sweaters without patterns, the next couple of things here are going to look familiar to you. I am not done with any of them, and many of them I have not gotten anything else done on them because life, and it's been like 3 days since I finished that video as of right now. It's probably been more since I published it. But the first one I've been working on since like, I want to say September, like early September. It is from one of my personal favorite yarn dyers. She's called Super Glow Fiber on Instagram. I think I already mentioned her once today, but I'm almost done with it. If you can't tell, it's 4 different colors of hers that I put in this stripe pattern. I worked as from the bottom up in the round, and then I split for the sleeves and did like neckline shaping, and I wanted pink to be the most prevalent because that's my favorite color. And so I did the neckline in pink, which I'm super happy with. I feel like this is the best fitting neckline I've ever done. And then for the sleeves, I thought it would be kind of visually interesting if the stripes, they're twice as wide as those on the body. And then to kind of like, I didn't know if this would really do anything, but I thought it might add to like the visual presence of pink if like the bottom started with pink everywhere. So I did that. And there's actually one more pink stripe in the sleeves than anything else because it starts and ends on pink. So I'm just trying to, like I said, visually make it look the most prevalent. I'm on the second sleeve. I'll get it and show it to you. I'm not super far, but also it's a good amount done. So I'm on that last sleeve island, which feels like I'm not very far away. Next up, you could kind of consider this seasonal knitting. It is a sweater that I want to have done by Christmas because I think that it is a very Christmassy motif. But it is not going very fast because it is my first attempt at brioche knitting, which is why I've got a bunch of stuff going on here. And it looks like this. It might be kind of hard to tell like details and things, but it is green and then like a lighter green. I've got a lot of yarn going on with this one. And if you watched my other video, sorry, you've already seen the explanations of what all these are. And I'm pretty concerned about running out of some of them. So this green one right here has been one of my favorites forever. And it is one that I dyed myself. And again, I only dyed 2 of it. So I have this and one more skein, and I feel like it's going quickly. So we'll see. This one is a mohair that I got from, it's like a mohair blend, I think. I put the tag in here. Look at that. I was actually trying ahead here. It's called Hattie Faloof. It is mohair and silk, yeah. It's from Dye Mad Yarns. They're located here in Ohio. And I love it. And I bought it as a one-off, just like totally because I was being impulsive. And look how amazingly that matches. So that is actually what's going to be my front color. I know a lot of times when people brioche knit, the darker color's on the back and the lighter is in the front. But I saw this picture one day and I just had such inspiration that I was like, I must make myself a very cozy green sweater. And this is going to seem so dumb, but this was it. This was my inspiration pick. Kermit just really spoke to me. I don't know what it is about this picture, but this little dude looks so comfy that it just like light bulb moment. And I went scouring through my yarn supply and I found these and I felt like I have to do something with these. So this is my main color. And then, so that's what's going to be, this is going to be the outside. Now, if you know anything about brioche, you know it is 100% reversible. And I actually have kind of considered trying to make my seams like really clean so I could actually have it be reversible. I don't know how doable that is, but this is what is going to be my main side, which you can kind of see the Christmassy aspect of it. Green is definitely a very Christmassy look. So, okay, well that's not important, I guess. So that's the main color. Now on the other side here with this white, it's actually 3 strands. You might be able to kind of tell the color variation in there, but it is 3 strands of yarn in there. The first one is another one of these undyed, look how floofy it is, undyed Surrey alpaca that I got at a wool festival local in my area, and I wish I bought 8 skeins of it because it was a really good deal, and I wish I would have got 16. Like, I could have taken everything in their stock. I love this so much. It has been so much fun to work with. Everything I use it on is like buttery soft. So that's what I'm using currently. It's a little bit bigger than some of the other Surrey that I've used before. I'm wondering if it's kind of maybe more considered a sock Surrey instead of a lace weight. I don't know. I love it either way. The next one that might be the most prevalent color in there is this really kind of light melony green color. This one is not a hand dyed. This is one that I got from Joann Fabrics. Actually, I don't get a lot of yarn from there anymore, but over the summer they had a really nice, I was actually kind of end of summer, they had a really nice collection of fingering weight sock yarn, and I just really have been into these like bright greens lately. The last one that I have is this one. This is so random. I don't know what the fiber content is. I would say, if I were to guess, it's either 100% synthetic or possibly cotton. I don't know. This was in a like thrift store grab bag, and it was in like a twisted skein, which leads me to believe that it might be a nicer fiber than just like synthetic. It's got a really nice feel to it. It doesn't feel like a synthetic. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not scratchy or anything. It's super thin though, like definitely a lace weight, if not like just considered a piece of thread. So I was always kind of like, what do I even do with this? But I felt like it honestly paired really nice with these. I thought it would kind of bring this green, this really bright looking green, down a little bit, and I feel like it kind of has. It is so lightweight. I am highly confident that I'm not going to run out of it because this very small skein took the longest to wind. So there's a lot here. I'm worried about running out of my dark greens. This mohair, this is the only one I got of it. I did check, they still sell it online, so I might be purchasing a skein or two depending on what it looks like, or how much it looks like I'm gonna have left. This is what I'm most worried about. I have no more of this type of yarn undyed. I have one more skein of it dyed, and that's it. I was kind of hoping brioche would like conserve yarn a little bit more, but it doesn't really. It's almost like doing color work. So I don't know what I'll do once this is gone. I'll have to decide that when it comes to it, I guess. We'll have to see. The next one that I have, I also talked about in my last video, but it's more of a summer knit that I started in June. So it's one that I really have not worked on at all since that video. I will show it to you, but it's not much to look at. This is the other one, the other type of yarn that Joann's had over the summer. It's 100% cotton fingering. I feel like it looks really like almost grayish, but I think it's how the light's hitting it. It's a really bright light green and white speckled, and I just really love it. I actually already made a top out of it in the spring, which I posted a video about to wear to the Fiber Festival, the Midwest Fiber Festival, and I loved it. It was so comfy, and so I was like, I want more of this. So I actually was like I feel very proud of myself. I was very smart in my buying. I only bought what I needed for that project, and it wasn't until I finished that project, had worn it, realized I liked it, and then bought more. So like, I feel like a very smart buyer. I'm usually a little bit of an impulsive yarn buyer. So I am making a short sleeve tee out of this, which so far has gone really well. Let's see. I'm in the back here. Let me show you the front. I have picked up the stitches for the first sleeve, which is what just slid off of my needles here. This is where I left off. I haven't finished the front. I'm gonna be honest about that too. You can probably kind of tell by the fact it doesn't really match up well. I need to finish the front. Honestly, it's one of those things that I got stuck. I realized that maybe the neck was smaller than I thought it was going to be. I was originally just planning like a regular rib stitch around the neck. But I'm worried that like if I knit very much more, it's not going to fit. So I was kind of trying to make a decision about, should I do an I-cord edge? Should I like crochet around the neckline? I just really hadn't decided what I wanted to do, and for the sake of the last video I made, I wanted to show how to pick up stitches, so I did that, and I have not moved on from there on the sleeve, but that's where I'm at. Like I said, it's a summer knit, so it's just something I'm not really motivated to touch right now. So I would say don't be surprised if you don't see it for a little bit. But I thought I'd just bring it up because it's worth talking about. I mean, it's nearly done because I'm doing short sleeves, so there's not really that much left to it, but that's one thing that's kind of on my pile, we'll say that. Okay, so it is the next day. I stopped to eat dinner last night, and then I forgot how quickly it gets dark in November. So I have a few more work in progress to show you. I do feel like this part of the video is like me exposing myself, because I don't know if this is the case with a lot of other knitters. I don't really have a lot of friends that knit consistently, and I feel like a lot of other podcasts that I watch, they're like, look at my 2 beautiful projects I'm working on right now. And maybe everyone is just more responsible than I am, but I have a bunch of projects that just kind of exist that I've never quite gotten around to finishing. And I decided maybe I should share them on my platform, because this would be like a way to motivate myself to get them done, that I actually have some accountability of like, people know you have this sitting behind your couch now. So I do have 4 projects to share that have been a WIP for a long time, and I haven't worked on for a long time. I still have intentions of finishing, but it's not been recently. The most recent one I've actually worked on is a sweater. This is actually the 2nd sweater that I started making ever, and I've started and finished many sweaters in between that time period. I think that's actually part of the reason that it sat in my pile so long, is because I didn't know a lot of what I was doing when I started, and there are a couple things I would change if I went back now, but they're not serious enough that I want to unravel it. Like, it'll still fit fine, it's just something I wouldn't have made the same creative decision now, so like, maybe that's part of it. It all started, I don't even know, 5 years ago probably. The college that I went to, there was a little local yarn shop. It was the first ever like local yarn shop that I went to, other than like, you know, that wasn't a big business. It wasn't Hobby Lobby, it wasn't Joann's, it wasn't anything like that. It was a little unique locally owned yarn shop, and I think about that little shop all the time, because I really don't have any other ones around here, and I live like 2 hours away from where I went to college, so I haven't been to it forever, but I loved it. And they had a whole wall of Cascade yarns, which I do really like Cascade yarns. They're a great option for their affordability, and they're really nice quality. And I had decided I wanted to try and make socks, and I got, pick it up here, I got this really pretty, like maybe a periwinkle is what you call that, like a really soft blue that almost looks lavendery. But I got this, and I got the cuff of the sock done, and I was like, oh, this is really cute and really pretty, and I decided I don't want to knit a sock. This was my like realization moment that I just didn't think I'd ever wear a sock that I hand knitted, because I just think all my hand knits are so like precious that I try to keep such good care of them. And I look at my socks and I see the holes and I see the wearing. It just makes me too sad, and I know I would never wear them. And I'd rather wear like a garment that I can take a really good care of, that I'm not walking on all the time. So I just kind of like put it in my pile, because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I didn't want to take it apart because, oh my gosh, this took forever. So I just like, it existed for like 2 years. I didn't do anything with it. And then after I finished my first sweater, I was really excited, which it's not good, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't wear it, but I have it as kind of like a, this is the first sweater I ever finished. But I was really excited about doing a second one, because I felt like I learned a lot. Like, I was just excited to do another one and learn from my mistakes. And if you've ever heard of the company, I get advertisements for them all the time. I don't know if it's because I bought off of them or what, but it's called Darn Good Yarn, and I think they operate out of India. But they had a sale on a 10-pack of skeins that was made from recycled silk fabric, and it was like a really good deal for 10 skeins. So I bought it with intentions of making a sweater, and when I got it, I was kind of thinking about like, how am I gonna do this? I felt like, because it's a single strand yarn, it's not like multiple strands twisted together, so I was worried about making it cuffs because I thought it would wear really easily. So I dug through my drawer and I found the cuff I had made for this sock, and I said, oh my gosh, this, because it's this pink and blue yarn, I thought this would be like a really cute trim piece for it. So I grabbed this, it was still on the needles, and just picked up and went from there, and I got a sleeve done. Now, this is the main area that I like have fit issues with now, is I made them very wide at the top. Like, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, if you look at, like, it's a pretty wide sleeve, because this is like folded in half still. It's a lace weight yarn, so my plan was that I would kind of like sew it in kind of, I don't know, almost a bunch at like the shoulder, so that it made like a little poof, which I thought would be really cute, and I still do. I'm a little concerned about how it would actually like work and look, but I got this sleeve done. I got the next sleeve done, and I got started on the body, which this is another area I may have made a mistake. I decided for the body, I didn't want it to be quite as thin as the arms. The arms, I feel like could be see-through. I don't think you can tell. Maybe you kind of can. You can see the light through it. I was worried about like being able to see my undergarments. So I decided for the body, I'll hold like a double strand, which, being an unexperienced knitter, I didn't realize that having this like variegated yarn held double was gonna kind of look weird. I don't dislike it, but I do think that you can tell like a very obvious difference between like this yarn and this yarn, because the colors are a lot more like muddied in this section because they're all spread out like way more and mixed together. So I don't love that. And I don't think all the skeins looked very similar. Like, even though I bought them in a lot, they were all vastly different shades, which, it's recycled yarns, like I get it, but like, I don't know, maybe you can't even tell. I think the pinks look a lot different, and I think the blues look a lot different, but it also may be because I'm holding the yarn differently. But I started from the bottom, I went up, I got the front portion done and shaped, and like literally all I have left to do is like 2 inches of the back and the blue around the neckline. That's it. I gotta seam it together. I haven't worked on it in like at least 6 months. At least 6 months. I don't know, it's just one of those projects. Maybe I don't like it as much as I used to. It's hard for me to like pinpoint whatever reason that I become uninterested in something, but I just do sometimes. I don't know. That's one of them. The next oldest one is one that I started probably 2.5 years ago. I was really into granny square stuff, which I still am, and I had the intentions of making a blanket out of this. And I picked 4 colors that I really liked, which I do feel like maybe these are a little trendy, which is maybe part of the reason that I've lost some interest in it, which I feel like I've maybe learned from my mistake from then. I don't know, it's hard. Colors, it's stupid that colors are trendy, but hi, it is me editing, and I just like to point out I am literally wearing the colors I'm complaining about being trendy, so apparently I still like them. I was making these like flower shaped granny squares with the yellow, and this is a burgundy. I feel like it looks kind of brownish, but the yellow, burgundy, pink, and then this like creamy color as the background of all of them. And then I have like different combinations of all of them. Like there's every combination you come up with. I think there's 6 different combinations, but I'm doing 30 of each kind. This is kind of a mess. Like I have that many left that I need to do, and like I'm telling you, it's a pile of granny squares. Like I've got my 4 skeins of yarn in this little basket, but like the rest of it is packed with granny squares. In addition to that, I have this many more, and I still have like 30 to make. Plus, stand by, I just realized I forgot to grab this. When I got like halfway done and realized that like this is so much volume of just like loose granny squares, I laid them all out, and half of the blanket is already all stitched together. So what I have now is less than half of the total amount of granny squares. This is 90 right here, and it's the length that the blanket's gonna end up being, but it's only this wide. So it's gonna be twice this wide, but I have half of it done, over half of it done, because I have like I said, 20 or 30 more to make. I know I have not touched it in months. I really enjoyed making it, honestly. I think it's a couple things. First of all, I just enjoy knitting more. It's just more fun for me. I don't know how to explain it. My brain just likes knitting better. And I don't know. I think I just got tired of it. I've like known for a while I need to just sit down and finish it because I'm so not that far away from being done with it. I will say one thing that I don't like about this project that I didn't realize was going to be a problem until I was knee deep in it is not only all the ends you have to weave in. I was being really responsible though and like weaving them in as I go, but because this like type of granny square that I'm doing is kind of like really puffy, they were popping out all the time. Like I constantly trim ends like everywhere I go. So that's kind of a bummer because I feel like it never quite looks like finished then because you're constantly trimming yarn ends. So that might be part of it. I don't know. It has existed in the background next to my couch forever. The next one is the oldest project. It actually started out as a gift for someone. And let's see, I was in college. I'm gonna say this one's like 5 years old. Yeah. It started out as a gift for someone. I was gonna make a blanket for them, and this was before the era of like me understanding what a gauge swatch was. So whenever I made something, I was just like, this is probably the right amount. I don't know. I would just like cast on a random amount of numbers or a random amount of stitches. Random number of stitches. I don't know. It was meant to be like a child's blanket, and it was not very long into it that I realized this is giant. Like it's definitely adult blanket sized. And so I was like, whatever, I'll just like keep knitting it, and then, you know, when I finish it, I'll just have a blanket, which is like fine and great. But a couple things. First of all, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like I already always have too many blankets. Like anytime you're getting like a Christmas present from someone like you're friends with but not super close with, you get like a blanket. It's an easy, cozy winter gift. I have so many blankets, not to mention like I have the ones that, you know, I've bought for myself that I really like. I have ones that I have made or in the process of making. I have ones that have been like hand-me-downs that are like quilts and things like that. Like I have so many blankets. So like I'm just not even motivated to finish this because I don't really want it. It's also made with 100% acrylic yarn, which I don't have any problem with other people using. I just don't like it that much anymore. I don't know, it's pretty scratchy to me, and I just don't enjoy the feel of it like I do other natural fibers, and I don't think it feels nicer than blankets that I already have in use. So I started out, like I said, as a children's blanket for a little girl, and so it's got this like big lavender section. I don't know exactly how wide it is, but here's the one end of it, and there's the other end. I mean, like it's a full-size blanket size. So I had not an entire one. If you've ever gone to Joann's and seen those 1 pound skeins of, I think it's like Karen brand yarn, it wasn't an entire one, but it was close to it, and I used all of that. And then I decided I could split up the colors with, I had a big one of those of white. So I did 15 rows of white, and then I had a bunch of pink, which you can tell it's not the same width. I think I was just like, I'll use whatever I have on the skein. So I did that, and then 15 more rows of white, and I'm on navy blue right now, which I have worked on it here and there. It's a really fun, like, mindless project because it is, the colors are in seed stitch, and then the white is just knit. As you can maybe see, kind of see. So it's pretty. I do like it. I just don't really see myself using it, and I don't feel like I'm into it as I once was. So it just exists, and I've kind of tried to convince myself to finish it just as like you know, I could donate it or something as a way of like getting it out of my headspace. And also because I don't use a lot of acrylic yarns anymore, it's a really good way to like use up what I have, especially because when I was first knitting, that's all I bought because that's all I could afford, which is why I understand when people use them, because wool and things like that tend to be really expensive. So I have a lot left over from when I was like a teenager and only being able to buy the cheaper stuff. So it's a good way to use that up. I just kind of tired of looking at it. I just realized that I have another WIP. I kind of forgot about its existence because it's stuffed away in this project bag, which is a really nice bag. I kind of forget I have it because it's had this project in it for probably 2 years, possibly longer, at least 2 years. But this is another thing that's probably kind of trendy, which is possibly the reason that I kind of threw in the towel on it. I also think it needs taken apart, which is kind of, I would say more or less where I got stopped on this one. But I had this great idea. I still love the idea. I think I just need to start over of a cow print sweater. I had this idea that there are a couple different yarns that Joann sells. I think it's like Angel Hair brand. I actually don't even know if they sell those anymore. I haven't seen those in a long time, but they have, no. Okay, I gotta think about this. I think it's Buttercream brand and the yarn is called Angel Hair and it's super fuzzy and fluffy. Here, it's like this guy. You can kind of tell. It's like super fuzzy fluffy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could make a sweater that's like a cow print that looks like it's like fur almost. So it's actually held double. It is just one strand of regular acrylic, one strand of the fluffy. It's got a big thread on it. And I was doing intarsia, which this was the first time I had done intarsia, I think. And a couple problems with it. First of all, the reason I knew right off the bat I needed to take it apart is because it's not sized correctly. I don't think I knew what I was doing when it came to size. I wanted this to be a big oversized sweater and it's really not big at all. Like, I think this would fit, like if I hold it up, it fits around, but it would be like pretty fitted. Like it would not be oversized at all. So for that reason, I need to take it apart. Also, I don't know what is going on with the neckline here. I don't know if you can tell how uneven it is. Like this is like a full 1.5 inches longer than this side. What was I doing here? What did I think this was gonna look like? I don't know. So it needs taken apart, which taking apart intarsia is just kind of a nightmare. I don't know. Other than that, like I think the concept is there. I think it's really cute. I think I need to work on my cow print shaping a little bit more. I feel like smaller blobs is kind of cuter, but it needs taken apart. And this entire project bag is full of yarn for it because I had 2 1-pound skeins again of black and white that I like had to manually make into like different balls of these. That whole bag is full of those, like just in case I need it. So it's just gonna be a mess to take apart and that's really where I'm stuck. I would like to still actually make this sweater because I think it would be a lot of fun. And since I make so many sweaters now that are like such fine yarns, it would probably feel like it went so fast. It's just one of those things that has been on the back burner so long, I have kind of totally forgotten about it. So maybe it's good that I've gotten it out here and I can eventually get to work on it, maybe. So it is while I've been editing this video for the last couple of days that I have noticed or found additional projects around my home, which I'm going to share. It has made me kind of feel like maybe I have a problem with just starting way too many projects. I don't know. I just have a lot of fun and maybe I give in to impulses too much. I don't know. But I'm gonna share them because I feel like this is already really motivating me to like work on stuff and actually have some completed projects. So the first one I'm gonna talk about. This one is one that I was actually just starting as like famous last words as a swatch. It was in a book. It was a color work swatch that you could do and I just thought it was so pretty and I wanted to try it. I'm not very good at color work, so I thought it would be a good practice piece and I finished it and oh my gosh, I thought it was so pretty. It's kind of hard to tell. This is pink and green. It looks kind of reddish, but it turned out so much better than I thought it would, and I really, really liked it. And I didn't want to take it apart. It made me sad. So I decided, you know, what could I do with this? And I just kept knitting, and I'm attaching it in the back, and I'm going to make a little pillow out of it. Like, that's going to be such a cute little Christmas pillow. And as you can see, I am like literally almost done. I have 2.5 inches maybe at the most. That's it. I just need to get it finished. I don't know. The next one's the same way, that I'm almost done with it. I made a sweater earlier this year out of this hot pink yarn, and I thought how cute would it be if I had a matching hat. So this is the same yarn in 1x1 rib, so it's really stretchy, and I was making this little hat. Like, literally all I have to do is like a couple more rows of like decreases and then just like cinch it up, and like I've got a hat. Why do I not just finish this? I don't know what's wrong with me. The last one I have here, I started like a week and a half ago. I don't know why I'm like this. I have had this skein of yarn forever now, sitting in my stash. It's one of those, it's like a color changing big cake, and I really like these. I'm not as into them as I used to be, but I used to get them a lot because I just loved all the color combinations that you would find, and that's why I have this one. It's a brand I'm pretty sure you can get at Walmart. I think it's like a Lion brand gradient, but I really like the color combo still, and I'd always thought it'd make such a pretty little scarf. And I was in the midst of a few complicated projects that I just didn't feel like working on anymore, so I started a little scarf. So cute. It's like kind of like a broken rib stitch pattern what I'm doing. I wasn't very happy with the fact that it had this big weird bad spot in it. It was like all twisted up weird. Like, yeah, it was a mess. So I had to like trim it and make a little knot there that I'm gonna have to go back and try and make not completely obvious, but this side doesn't look too bad. So I'm pretty happy with it, and it's so exciting getting to like change colors. I can't tell you how excited I am to get to that blue and see how it looks with this. That, I think, is actually the last work in progress that I have, and I have never been more vehement about finishing something before I start another project, because it's become really obvious to me that like things might be a little out of hand. I can admit that. So I know a lot of times in these knitting podcasts, people will do like an acquisition time, like talking about new yarn that you've gotten. I really haven't gotten new yarn in a long time. In like a month and a half. I do have yarn coming, I'm gonna be honest. I ordered an advent calendar for Christmas from my favorite dyer, Super Low Fibers, and the dyer Woolen Works from Australia. She had a collection, a pre-order going on for the Barbie colors, which that pre-order was about a 6-week time period, so it's probably gonna be like mid-December at the earliest that I get it. So technically an acquisition, but I don't have any physical yarn to display. If you gaze back at my background, you can probably tell I have much more yarn than any human needs, and I'm very aware of that. So I've been trying to be good and not spend a lot of money on yarn, because I have a lot, because I don't need more, because I don't really have the money to spend. So I've been trying to be good, but I think that is where I'm gonna wrap it up for today. So thank you so much for being here and watching. I hope you enjoyed my myriad of projects. I am gonna really, I do already feel like more motivated to work on stuff, because I feel like it's exciting to share what I've gotten done or my progress on things. So I feel like this is a good step for me in getting some of all of this caught up. Obviously you can't see around me, but I've got them like all stacked around me, and it's really coming to fruition in my mind here how many projects I have started. So I'm really gonna focus on getting to work on them, and I hope to see you back here again soon to see what progress I've made and if I've been able to actually say I've finished some more of these. I'm not starting anymore, so next time I'm gonna have some stuff to report that I've gotten stuff done. So I'll see you then.